up, internet land? My voice is hopefully better this time. We will see how it goes. As promised, this time I'm going to do the Twilight movie. Oh dear. I finished the Twilight book, and the first thing I did to watch the movie. I love watching, especially with things like this, I really love watching the trailers first. And having just read the book, all of the plot points were fresh in my head. Oh, before I get any further, for those of you film aficionados who actually studied film theory and film angles and all that fancy schmancy stuff that I haven't touched yet, I ask forgiveness in advance. I am coming at this movie review as a movie goer, as a movie lover, but not as a movie theorist. I do not know movie theory. I don't know film angles unless they're really bad. I don't know them. Forgiveness in advance for that. I'm coming to this as someone who had just finished the book and was approaching it with this story in mind to look at an adaptation, to get that out of the way. Oh man, I don't even know what I expected. I had heard from die-hard Twilight fans that loved the books that the first movie was bad. I heard it from the fans of Twilight that this movie was bad. It had done a great disservice to the book. That alone struck a chord of fear through me, because if the people that love this book are not liking the movie, like, well, crap. I wasn't about to stop now, having been through the torment of actually finishing the book. And I was kind of curious because of all the griping around Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. I was dying to see how they were on screen, because I love seeing actors' chemistries. When I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, it'll be decent. Some of the scenes have potential. There's some action, especially at the end, with the baseball game. I'd heard from more than one person that the baseball scene in the movie was a lot of fun. One thing that this movie did that shocked me was it made me love parts of the book I didn't even realize I loved until they changed them in the film or attempted to make them more palatable for a young audience, which infuriated me because the book is already very juvenile anyway. If you haven't seen it, there is a fantastic parody of Twilight, of the first two movies, called Vampires Suck. I know. It's so freaking funny. I'll link the trailer below and a couple of clips from the movie that were all I could think of when I was reading the books. I actually saw that before I saw Twilight. I think the thing I was most unnerved by, and I'd heard this from a lot of people, was Kristen Stewart's constant stuttering and twitching. In an isolated context in a film, if it aids the story, if it suits the character and what they're doing, that's fine. In the book, Bella is obviously very uncomfortable with herself. I know in my last review I kind of ripped her to shreds, but I do feel kind of bad for her because her self-esteem is very low. And she's just this ball of anxiety and depression until Edward comes along. Whole nother issue. But Kristen Stewart doesn't go a scene. It's almost the entire movie. She stutters. And I'm like, okay, is this a tick? Because all actors have tics. You know what I mean when I say that. All actors have tells. That's a better way of putting it. All actors have tells when they're on stage. I've been an actor, I've done acting, I've known many, many actors. You have a tell. And when you get to know that actor really well, you can see when they use it. I couldn't tell with Kristen Stewart if this was just one of her twitches as an actor, or if this was bad part on the director for not grasping how to do this without overemphasizing it to the point of making me want to vomit. It was every scene from the start. Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I like Charlie. The casting for Charlie was perfect. I love that actor. Casting for Billy and for Jacob, I love Taylor Lautner, even though his wig, oh my gosh, the wigs in this movie, oh my gosh, I am not a costume or wig connoisseur, but if it's so bad, that's what I'm thinking about instead of the scene I am watching. Something is wrong. I had heard people comment on Jacob's wig as being especially bad. I didn't really believe them until I watched it. I was dying. I'm like, I get it. He's Native American. He has the longer hair. That's fine. Billy's hair looked fine. My guess is it was its natural hair. With Jacob, it looked like a wig. So she goes to school. You meet Jessica. You meet all these people. You meet Eric, who in the book is deemed the nerdy stalker, as well as Mike. Mike was annoying in the book, but that's the whole point, is all these guys give her constant attention and just want her, but no, I am a wallflower, and you can't like me because I hate myself. She has a lot of issues. Then you have the mysterious Cullens. Okay, makeup and hair. What were you thinking? And director, what were you thinking? Letting these people go on camera looking like this. The lipstick on Edward's lips was brighter than Bella's. I get it. They're supposed to look sallow. They're supposed to have the dark circles under their eyes. They're vampires. I got that. There is a way to do pale, to do ghastly pale without making them look, I can't even describe it. It was horrendous. But you have his dramatic, intense stares at Bella across the cafeteria. Oh man, when she walks into the classroom, the fan blows her hair across her neck. He clenches up and smacks his hand over his face. Looks like he's about to barf. I had to pause the movie because I was laughing so hard I was crying. In the book, when she walks into the classroom, he looks very uncomfortable, very distressed. His hands are clenched into fists. It was much more believable. In the movie, it looks like her being in the room makes him want to hurl. Okay, I get it. Like, he should be wanting to get away from her. If he doesn't want to kill her, that's fine. I'm like, if this is how it's going to set up for the rest of the movie, we have quite a ride ahead of us. We get past that scene, the part with the van, and more serious, dramatic stares from Edward. The stare was what got me. I was cracking up. I'm not gonna say a word. And I take back what I said earlier. I wasn't crying laughing when Belle first walked into Edward's classroom. I was crying laughing when Carlisle walked into the ER. I couldn't breathe. On a side note, Carlisle is my favorite character next to Alice, especially when it gets into the second book. Carlisle walks in and, first of all, I hated the choice of his hair. I'll be honest, I can't remember if she described his hair color. It might have been blonde in the book. Point being, the shade of blonde that they chose completely washed him out. Not that he needed help with being washed out with his hair, because he looked like he had jumped into a vat of flour before walking onto the set. I am not blaming the actor for this. I am blaming makeup and costume and the freaking director for letting those actors go on camera looking that ridiculous. Tears streaming down my cheeks because I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. That was when I knew, I'm like, all hope is lost. One of my biggest qualms with this whole film was the makeup. Beyond the flaws in the story, they become more pronounced in the film, which happens with book adaptations if you don't iron them out first. Every book has flaws. There is not any book that is completely perfect. Sometimes you have to iron them out. With Twilight, it just exacerbated them and split them all for everyone to see. The makeup was only part of it. That was just bad film production. Granted, I went into this with a critical eye, but still. We have the infamous Port Angeles scene where he rescues her from being gang raped. That didn't bother me. In the book, it's boring as all get out. He rescues her and he is acting like a coke addict on withdrawal. He is shaking and grabbing the steering wheel. Talk to me. Say something to me to distract me so I don't go back. You can only blame the actors so far. There's a certain point when it's no longer just them, because we've seen Robert Pattinson in different roles that shows that he's not a bad actor. Kristen Stewart, on the other hand, she's probably a lovely person in real life. I have no idea. She's gorgeous. She is a terrible actress. We have the awkward dinner scene where she's trying to figure him out. Oh, this was gold. They're in the car and she reaches to turn on the heat and brushes his finger. She barely touched him. You're ice cold. How do you know? Some people's hands are always cold. What if you were wrong, Bella? What if he's not actually ice cold all the time and you were just insensitive? In the book, there's so many things building to it. As soon as she realizes she's falling in love with him, he grills her for every possible detail about her entire life, which bugged me because he couldn't read her mind. Complete plot hole that I didn't put in my last review that they don't address in the movie either. There's no explanation why Edward shouldn't be able to read Bella's mind. So she goes to La Push, hangs out with Jacob and his terrible wig. He tells her about the Quileute werewolves and the vampires. And then she goes to Google. I love that they kept that in the movie. And we have the infamous and utterly horrible revelation that he is a vampire. This actually really upset me. As silly as that sounds. In the book, it's a little bit more gradual, which obviously in book to film, you don't have that advantage because film has such tighter time constraint. But still, there was virtually nothing that should have led her to that conclusion. In the book, it was a little bit better because they have a regular conversation. They're in the car, it's a little bit organic. They bring it up, and although she's shocked, it's something that they still address like you would in a normal day-to-day conversation. They were trying way too hard in the movie to make it dramatic. It's already dramatic. Or traumatic. Pick one. I hate it! In the movie, it's like a day has passed. They've had no conversation. It's not organic at all. They go to the woods. Your skin is ice cold, you're super fast and super strong. Say it out loud. I swear, if Edward had said say it one more time, I was gonna hurl my remote at my screen. And then we zoom in on Bella's lips. Why? She doesn't have fangs? Why am I looking at her mouth? You already knew! Why is this so shocking? Even in the book, it's shocking internally for her, but she's able to address it somewhat organically, conversationally with Edward. Soap operas have better acting than that scene, and better writing. Okay, one of the 3 parts of the entire first book that I liked were the scene where he reveals to her why it's such a big deal for them to be in the sun. We're gonna put aside the classic argument of why the hell is it such a big deal that he sparkles, because it's not. Good grief, I live 3 hours from Boulder. If you walk down the street sparkling like that, half the stoners would be like, dude, hook me up with whatever you're wearing. I don't understand. The book, again, relatively organic. He takes her for a drive. He takes her to this beautiful meadow. Makes more sense. Like, he wants to be somewhere where no one else is going to see them. He just quietly unbuttons his shirt and goes and lays down in the grass. If you're going to do this nonsensical scene anyway, this would be the place to do it. He's sparkly, but he just lays there. He doesn't make a big deal about it. He just lays there and she comes over and they cuddle. I loved it. I thought it was really sweet and had potential to showing that they might develop a wholesome relationship at some point. I thought it was adorable in the book. This is the skin of a killer. At least in the book, Stephenie Meyer didn't cop to these dramatic, well, at least with this scene, that dramatic exclamation. You look like you fell into a vat of sparkles. The CGI for it was pretty bad. Then we have the whole spider monkey nickname, which in one regard is cute, but in another, it's like, you're so concerned with her safety that you're gonna drive 100 miles an hour in your car. This is a qualm I had with the book too. You're gonna sling her over your back and run through the forest and jump through these trees at how many miles an hour? You'll be fine. But she might not be. She's not immortal. She's not virtually indestructible, you idiot. On a side note, I loved the piano music for Bella's Lullaby. Before you make fun of me, I'm gonna link a video of this gorgeous cover of it. It's an extended cover of Bella's Lullaby, and it is a beautiful piano song. And the ridiculous dinner scene. I freaking love Carlisle. Esme's wig. What is it with the wigs in this movie? It looks like she has a rat on her head. It like sits there and it's so obviously not her real hair. It like sits over her hairline, especially in the freaking baseball cap. Oh my gosh. The baseball scene was one of the 5 minutes of the movie I actually enjoyed. The baseball scene was fun and the music was cool. Oh, and Edward and Bella's first kiss, one of the only things redeemed from the book, because the book describes their first kiss super, super awkward. Digging her hands into his hair and sucking his lower lip. Ew, ew! There may be a part of it, but please, just stop. This is so awkward. In the movie, it was still kind of awkward because she's in her pajamas and he has been watching outside of her bedroom window for 2 months and she's seemingly not bothered by this at all. What? It goes back to my theory that Bella is just so entranced by his scent and by his looks to be his prey that she literally just isn't thinking clearly and is brainwashed by him. Their first kiss, it was better than the book, and it showed his difficulty in keeping control, which is a huge theme in the book. Even if I didn't like the book for many reasons, at least it stayed true to that. And I can't ever lose control with you. Poor Robert Pattinson. I feel bad for these actors because the script was so bad. It was so poorly written. That having been said, one of the 2 scenes I actually liked the whole movie was that scene where they just lay in bed next to each other and talk until she falls asleep. I thought that was cute, but all of a sudden we have the side angle, or I think it's called Dutch angle, I can't remember now. She curls up on him like while sleeping. She doesn't know she's doing it. And he gets all tight and uncomfortable because he's trying to keep himself from hurting her. I thought it was really sweet, so I'm like, oh, this is sweet. And then BAM! Camera angle. You completely distracted us from the point of the scene. The whole point was to see them cuddling, but no, now we're focused on your edgy early 2000s camera angle to show just how dramatic this is. Ugh. So, to fast forward again, we finally have conflict. 90 minutes into the 2-hour movie, James shows up. They cut out the interactions between her and Alice and Jasper. They cut out most of them, which is really upsetting for me because it was one of the few redeeming parts of the book. The one scene I wanted them to keep was Edward stopping of his own volition of drinking Bella's blood. But no, he's sucking her blood and he loves her, but he can't stop. What were these producers smoking? And Carlisle has to tell him to stop, that he's killing her. I was done. Like, my gloves are off. I hate this movie. I'm glad I own it only because it was hilarious, but it was terrible. My rating for this movie is 1 out of 5, maybe even a 0.5 out of 5. I mean, it was that bad. I would recommend it solely because it is hysterical. We'll see you in the next review, my New Moon book review, and then my New Moon movie review. If you do have any requests for books, movies, music, or things you want me to review, please comment below. Please subscribe. I will be doing more of these. I'm so excited. This is a lot of fun. The link for my blog is the first link I'll post in the info. I do post my written reviews of different things. I'm not going to put vlogs for everything I review, just for the things that I feel like have a more emotive response. Let me know if you liked Twilight, why you liked it, the movie or the book. Let me know. If you didn't, let me know why. I will see you next time. Peace out, yo.